Welcome, everybody. Some new faces. I always like to start by asking where everyone's dialing in from today, because we are a worldwide community. For us, we're in Berlin at 6 p.m. We're Istanbul, nice. Vienna, Canada. Wow, Romania, Belgium, London, Munich. Also Berlin. Nice. Wow, I've got quite a selection of countries and cities. This is cool. And two from Belgium. Maybe you know each other. All right. Well, we're just going to give everyone maybe one more minute to join, and then we'll kick it off. I don't want to run too late, of course, but just always like to give people a couple of minutes in case they're in a meeting or eating breakfast or dinner. California, England, nice. And Paris. All right. So maybe let's get started. Great. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. We're really excited to have you. My name is Kat, and I'm the influencer marketing lead at GetYourGuide. And my wonderful team who is here today is also responsible for this amazing community, which you're all a part of. So thanks for being here. And for anyone that's new to the community, our goal is basically to support you, up and coming travel influencers, as you grow in the space and as you work on building your profile. Keep getting muted. We do that in a number of ways. So one of the ways is we've just launched sponsored experiences. So you can now officially apply to receive a sponsored experience from GetYourGuide. If you haven't seen that yet, you can check out the link in our bio and the GetYourGuide community Instagram. Definitely worth having a look. We also have meetups around the world. Our next one is in Porto, which is coming up at the end of this month, and we're doing more in LA and Lisbon, I think. So look out for those. And of course, we love to do workshops with amazing people. So today we have asked the wonderful Bree from EyeOfShe to join us. She's kindly given up her time to give you an insight into how she grew her following from nothing to over 425,000 followers today on Instagram. So we're super excited to have her here and really grateful that she could take the time. And I think you're going to get some really incredible tips and inspiration from her. So in a minute, Bree will take over. She'll present to you for around 45 minutes. At the end, we'll have a Q&A. And what I would ask is that if you have any questions throughout the presentation, if you could just pop them in the chat, and we'll try to get to as many of them as possible. I know that is a lot of people's favorite parts, because it's great to be able to ask Bree questions. So do feel free to use that, and we'll try to get through them at the end. And we will also announce a very exciting contest just for this group at the end as well. So without further ado, I would love to hand you over to Bree from EyeOfShe.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for participating in our little workshop. It's super awesome to have you guys here. So I guess we'll start with, I'm guessing you guys know me, which is why you're here. But if you don't, I'm going to share a little bit about my backstory and how I started getting into the world of content creation and that sort of thing. So in 2018, I bought a one-way ticket. Oh, sorry, my slideshow is frozen. Okay, there we go. Who is EyeOfShe? It is me. So I always had this drive to discover new places. I was working as a nanny and a barista, and just really not really content with my life at the time. And I saw my friends graduating and climbing the career ladder, and I always felt really stuck. in my own life, and I just couldn't like settle into anything. I always wanted something more, and I had this like burning fire within me to travel and get out. And I got into photography, and I was shooting street photography for a while. And I was like, okay, so I got involved in the New York City like Instagram space, and I was posting my photos, and I started understanding how the community worked a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I can like incorporate more international travel within my photography. And so that's when I met a friend online who was also in the travel space. And I was like, hey, do you want to buy a one-way ticket to South America? And he was like, yeah, sure. And so we did that. And the goal was to really harness our photography skills and chase the adventure and chase the dreams that we were both equally passionate about. And then we just kind of went on a leap of faith. And so, yeah, that's like a little bit about my backstory and how I started. So in this workshop, we're going to be talking about how to find your niche. Because like me, I started out in the New York City space, and slowly I started realizing my passion was outdoors and landscapes and photography. And then also why storytelling is so important, and the ups and downs of content creation and perseverance, because there are a lot of ups and downs that I've definitely been through myself. And then the importance of editing and keeping up with trends, reels, trending audio, etc. So when you're starting out, it's important to strategize your page. What I see very frequently is accounts that are starting out, they're a little confused. They don't really know like which way to go yet, which is totally fine. But it is really important. Instagram likes repetition, and your audience, they'll follow you if they go to your page and the first 9 images or 9 reels they see is what they're going to make up or understand what your account is about. And they're going to follow you for that. And they want to continuously see that sort of content. So having your focus and understanding what your niche is super important. For example, my niche is within the travel photography space. So like if a user is searching a specific hashtag like travel, outdoors, photography, my account will probably pop up. And then, knowing your why has always helped me personally stay focused on my goals. And I always recommend that to you guys out there when you ask me about tips and advice, because it's super important to know your why. For example, mine is to inspire. It's always been this. It's to inspire others that they don't have to stick with, not saying anything's bad with a 9-to-5, but they don't have to stick with the norm of the 9-to-5. They can go out and chase their dreams. And that doesn't have to be travel photography. That could just be literally just taking a leap of faith and just going down another career path, or just changing your life completely. And I think that started really solidifying itself when I was receiving countless messages from people saying that I was inspiring them to do certain things. I remember one woman had just gone through a divorce, and she was like, I bought a one-way ticket to Colombia because of you. And it was the best gift I could have given myself after my divorce. And that messages like that is literally what fuels my fire. And that's my why. And I love to inspire people, and I love to chase the adventure. And so that keeps me going through all the ups and downs. So finding your passion is number 1. Find a need. So figure out what people want to see. And so that could be helpful tips, advice on a certain location, posting beautiful content. That's mostly my thing. I have people in my niche that also do like car camping 101 or best waterfalls in Oregon, which are all really, really great. I would love to start incorporating that more into my content. I just have so much on my plate. So it's like what I kind of go with what I'm used to, which is like showcasing the epic landscape, but finding value to offer your audience is key. Giving them that wanderlust or that informative goodness. That's really what your goal should be. And then fill in that need. So continue to create content within your niche that you've discovered that is like your favorite, pretty much. And then just continue to do that, and then create a story. So that's honestly like through your Instagram stories or your captions. That's how people got to know me, and they see your face and they feel like they know you. And it's super important to show up for your content. And I'm actually like an extreme introvert, and I'm really shy. And so, and it's surprising for people because like when they see my stories, they think of me as like someone that's very outgoing, but usually I'm just like talking to myself on my phone, like doing these stories. So it is important to show your face, and people get to know your personality. And then some people start to relate to you, and they want to follow you because they want to follow along on your journey. So that's all really important. And then, so this is something that I really struggled with myself in the beginning, because I wanted to do so many different things. Like, for example, I wanted to explore like cute villages in Italy and do like food blogging. And then I wanted to do like the crazy adventure travel, like go on the craziest hikes that nobody goes to and find these epic spots. And I felt like I was all over the place, and I couldn't really figure it out. I couldn't really figure out what my specific niche was. And so I asked myself, what lights up my body when making a decision? And that was honestly just exactly what I do, going to beautiful destinations, showing you guys how I shoot the photos, showing you guys how I edit the photos, and just really showcasing these landscapes. And that's something that's just really my passion. Oh, somebody drew a green line. Nice. How do you do that? I don't know, but I guess it's our friend now. Can you guys see that? Maybe that's just me. I don't know. There's a green squiggly on the screen, but it's fine.
I can see it. I don't know where it came from.
Somebody drew it, but I don't know how they did it. It's fine. It's our friend. It's like my plant here. That's our workshop plant. Okay, so harnessing my story. So finding my message, I began my travel page because I couldn't shake off that wanderlust and that restlessness. Took my leap of faith, and I started showcasing my work online. And little by little, my audience started following along, and then EyeOfShe became what it is today. And then EyeOfShe may have started out this way, to share my travels with those interested in following along, but it ended up building a strong community of travelers. And I think that also comes with me showcasing myself and my struggles, and I'm always trying to be as authentic as possible with you guys. And I think that really relates to a lot of people. And then creating a community. Now I can post for my audience, knowing exactly what they want to see. And it's a good balance of feeding the Instagram beast is what I like to say, feeding Instagram what they want, but also what my passions are as well, finding that balance. Because at the end of the day, that is a little bit of the harsh reality. It's like Instagram is kind of picky, so they want to see that similar content and that consistency. So my why, I told you guys a little bit about it, but it's to inspire you guys to get out, and it's just to chase my passions, and just, yeah, try to live life to the fullest. So my struggles and how to avoid burnout. So this is something that I have dealt with, that I still deal with. It was a lot worse when I was beginning, because like you guys, I'm sure you've experienced, Instagram is really difficult to control. Like, you can't control it. You never know what it's going to do. You never know what they want. And I really used to allow Instagram to control my life. It would cause me to have a lot of anxiety, which I still have anxiety, but I've learned how to let go and separate Instagram as my job versus my real life. Because understanding that you can't control the outcome of anything, you could just do your best. And knowing the fact that all of us your favorite creators, we're all going through the exact same thing. We're talking to each other and we're just like, Instagram sucks today, or oh my gosh, like my engagement has cut in half since like 2020. And everybody is experiencing that stuff, but we're all still working in this as our careers. And I feel like that kind of gives all of us comfort, knowing that it's not necessarily our own content or our performance. It's just the changes of the internet. So yeah, understanding that stuff. There was one point in 2018, I think I was in Ecuador at the time, and we had been living off of like $5,000 in savings, just backpacking, sleeping on buses, sleeping in the dingiest motels, hostels, and we would just chase location after location after location, sunrise after sunrise, sunset after sunset. And we were just constantly on the go. There was no stability at all, but we were chasing that dream of like growing and creating this lifestyle into our jobs. And there was one point where I broke down because I couldn't understand why my content wasn't doing good, and I wasn't growing, and I didn't understand why. And so as you continue on, as you maintain your focus and realize that we're all going through it, it's all a trial and error, and it's not a race, and slow and steady, and is quantity over quality over quantity. And so just kind of maintaining that mindset and knowing that everything's going to be okay. And yeah, eventually I understood what I was doing wrong and how I was able to change my path. So in the beginning, this is a photo from 2018. This was actually my first location in South America. So for me personally, I see a pretty major difference as far as the pose goes. I feel like I look kind of like cold and stiff here. I look a lot more relaxed and like I'm in the zone. And then the view here, as it's pretty blue hour sunset, but the view isn't too captivating. Whereas here for sunrise, there's a lot more dynamic light. As you can see, my editing skills have developed as well. I painted light more on myself, darkened this section of myself just to give myself a 3D pop. And so, yeah, I remember looking at this photo and being like, wow, this photo is amazing. Like, why isn't it doing well? And getting so frustrated. And then, a month goes by and you've already grown so far and learned so much. And then you're just like, oh, maybe this was like not the best. But yeah, so it's just, again, it's just a trial and error, and just remembering to just be gentle with yourself always. So theme, this kind of goes back to your niche a little bit, but the importance of posting consistently within your theme. Organic growth will be a lot easier to come by, and your content will start getting more and more specific to what your following likes. So this is a screenshot of my account when I started. I left all these photos up because it showcases like the journey that I went through, and just to kind of show you guys like where I started and where I've grown into now. And so as you can see, I didn't really have like a editing style yet. I felt like the colors are very desaturated. There's a lot of stuff going on. Some photos aren't specifically like, they don't really have anything too like cool happening. And then versus now there's like a lot of a cleaner look. The editing is very similar. I'm showcasing a lot more epicness. Landscapes. And so, you don't have to do this like I do this. My thing is photography and landscapes, but if you could be like an Instagram model and showcase yourself in locations more so. I'm always pretty small. Once in a blue, you'll see me up close. Or, like you could do something like lifestyle or more, I don't know, the there's so many different niches, there's so many different themes you can go to, but this is mine specifically, and this works for me. And I feel like it's a lot more neater, cleaner, and you can see every individual photo that there's something really cool going on. And so, yeah, there's a difference there. And then, so this is a huge thing that people message me all the time when they're asking for advice. And this is something that I felt also back in 2018 when I was thinking about embarking on this Instagram thing. And honestly, like, I told myself this after I took that leap of faith, which was the scariest part. But after I kind of decided that I was going to get on a plane and just go on the one-way ticket and just go for it, that was the hardest part for me. And I just, honestly, at this point, I tell people there are thousands that will do it, but only a handful that will do it well. And that can be you. I was literally in the exact same boat before. And yeah, I just maintained my focus and my why and my determination and my perseverance through everything. And I know you can too. So one of the biggest keys, and I think one of the biggest things that I see online when people reach out and they're just like, hey, Bree, can you look at my account, tell me why I'm not growing? Like, I don't understand, I'm trying so hard. And the biggest issue I see is the quality of the content isn't there. And that's totally fine. When you're beginning, like me, I couldn't see it. I didn't understand why. And then I started learning with YouTube and seeing what my favorite creators were doing and like comparing our content, not in a bad way, but like in a learning way, and being like, what are they doing that I could improve on? And so, I made sure that my images were focusing on the right thing. I saw one photo where the subject wasn't in focus, but like the leaves in the foreground were the leaves up here. And so they were blurry, but this was, and so that's something that understanding how to shoot comes into play, and it's really important. Know your camera and lenses, how to utilize your tools to achieve a certain look. It is you have to remember that it is a full-time job. And so you want to climb a ladder, you have to learn, you have to open your mind, and you have to try different things. And, another key thing, if we're talking about photos, be sure you're shooting in RAW format. It's the best way to assure that your editing isn't being tainted by the color files on your camera. Understanding and learning composition, positioning, angles, how to showcase the best view possible. Always get a second opinion, get a third opinion, a fourth opinion. My friends, I'm sure they're so annoyed at me because every morning I send my content to them before I post. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? But I feel like you're constantly learning. I'm constantly learning, and I love advice from my friends, and yeah. So I think that's really important too. And then maintaining your consistent style. And then, so finding the right camera and common misconceptions. So this one is fun. So this is my current gear right now. So I shoot with a Sony A7 IV, my 3 lenses by Tamron. So I've actually shot with a variety of gear throughout the years. So this is full frame. So full frame, essentially what you're going to get is a bigger sensor within the camera. So it's better quality. You're going to be able to edit it a lot more deeply. Like the darks, the shadows are going to be able to come up a lot more. If you're like underexposing, for example, or if the sky is too bright, you're going to be able to recover that sky by bringing down the highlights a lot more. And then this is my old gear. This is a crop sensor camera setup. So my Sony A6500. But now here's a common misconception. So here are images that I shot with my gear, new and old. And I want you guys to look at this stuff and try to tell me, or I mean, you can't really tell me right now because you're all muted, but like try to like imagine what was shot on what gear and what was shot on my other gear. And I feel like for me personally, like if I mean, obviously I'm biased, but if I was like an onlooker, I'd be like, this all looks very similar. And then so this is the gear I was shooting with. So as you can see, this was shot with my drone, a 6500. So my old gear, new. So the common misconception is that you need the best of the best gear to create beautiful imagery or content. And that is furthest from the truth. The truth is that you just need to really know how to use your gear and the importance of editing, as you can see. So wide angle versus long lens. So a lot of you guys will ask me, okay, if you had to choose one camera body and one lens, what would it be? And so if I had to choose one camera body and one lens, it would be my Sony a7 IV and my 28-200, because you get the wider range and you get the zoom range. But I do love having all of the above, even though my camera backpack is pretty heavy. But as you can see here with the wide angle, you can utilize the foreground more. So these were shot at 17mm. So this is wider than my 28-200. So this was shot on my other lens. And then with my 28-200, I was able to capture these. So you can make the mountains bigger. You can make the whole landscape bigger. You could utilize it to really show scale more so than anything else. So the whole RAW versus JPEG, sometimes I'll ask you guys, send me your photos and I'll give them like an edit, make sure that they're RAW. And I get so many JPEG images. And so the difference is usually if you're shooting with a mirrorless or a DSLR camera, in the settings, you can change the quality to RAW, which is like, it is what it sounds like it is, just like a raw image, just like a blank canvas that you can really edit like deeply. Whereas JPEGs, they already have the camera settings baked, not the camera settings, but the camera edit baked into it. It's kind of like it's like the camera just does like an auto edit for you. So it's a little bit more difficult to edit on top of an already edit, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's like a good little tip. All my photos are always raw. And then Lightroom and Photoshop. Getting good at Lightroom and Photoshop is what I feel like personally has really changed the game for myself and the quality of my content. As you can see, here's a before and after. Our little plant friend is pointing to the after here. And so, learning how to remove unwanted cables, moving a mountain slightly, or centering yourself a little bit more. Those are things that I've learned through watching YouTube videos and just learning over the years. And I feel like it's really helped my content. Yeah, honestly, I feel like that's more than anything, more than even like, I'd say it's like 70% of my content is just understanding how to edit. And then Lightroom, editing is just as important, if not more, than shooting as far as Instagram is concerned. As you can see, I can post a photo like this, which is really dark, but you're not going to see my style. You're not going to see why I stand out unless I do edit and know what I'm doing. And so presets. So I use my presets often. I've made them from scratch, and they are pretty much a quicker way for me to edit. It starts as a base edit to all of my content. So that's what really helps me keep my theme and what helps me keep all the colors very similar. And then so here you could see these are my presets right here. And then here's a before photo of Lake Bled in Slovenia. And then here is an after with my mountain dreaming preset on it. And so I would go ahead and I would tweak this a lot more. But as you can see, the difference with good editing and knowing what you're doing. And yeah. So the power of editing, again, goes into it. So here's a couple of your guys' content that you've sent me showcasing before and after. Before and after, here's my photo from Iceland, before and after, and this is in Ecuador. And then I did like a little edit for you guys so you can kind of see a before image of mine, and then again the power of editing. And so darkening sections that don't really add to the photo, darkening foreground if you're not trying to showcase it so that your eye really leads into the subject, whatever that may be, adding contrast, saturating, adding vibrance. And then when I say painted on light, I'm pretty much just like using a brush and just lightening up sections of myself. So it kind of looks like the light is coming down on me. And so I feel a lot more confident with this image versus just posting this one, even though, I mean, the natural image is beautiful, but there's something, it's kind of like, you know, like I feel beautiful, like not wearing makeup, but when I wear my mascara, I'm like extra confident. That's how I look at my photos. Just enhances it a little bit. So turning your passion into a career. So creating viral content. So Instagram is constantly changing and evolving. It's important to stay up to date with the latest changes. So the latest changes are Reels. And so I'm sure you guys have seen it. I'm sure some of you guys love them. I'm sure some of you guys hate them. So just know that all of us as well have been suffering a little bit, especially those of us who are travel photographers, because we've had to really learn how to incorporate Reels into our jobs. And so 3 key things that you have to keep in mind with Reels are the 9:16 ratio, my export settings. So I'll always shoot in 4K. 4K 60 on my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and then I'll bring it into InShot, which I think okay. So my original slideshow, it was deleted somehow. So I had a page where I talked about the app I use. So it's called InShot. InShot, and in there I'll bring my videos in, and then I'll export them, my 4K videos in, and I'll export them at 1080, and that's how I get my quality on Instagram. And so stick to 8 to 12 second long reels. You can stick to shorter reels. I'm sure you guys have seen shorter reels, like 3-second reels. And then I'm sure you guys have seen like 30-second reels, and the 30-second reels, obviously, like the attention span these days, you know, it's not all there. So the engagement on it might not be as great. 30-second reel might get like 1 million views, but there's no real storytelling. There's no way for people to really get to know who you are, or give people some real quality content. So I feel like 8 to 12 is like a really good happy medium there. Remember that whatever you post, you're solidifying your brand image. So storytelling is key. People want to follow you and the adventure. And then, you know, post who you are in stories and captions, like I told you guys earlier. Video showcasing your car camping setup, for example, in a reel is really, really fun, really trendy right now. An informative piece on like 3 epic locations in Chile or wherever you're traveling to, or 3 best waterfalls to check out in Oregon, whatever it may be. And then tips on getting quality images. People love that stuff. And then 2 key points to keep in mind. Staying on brand will help you maintain a steady content creation workflow, and then balancing what you want versus the algorithm and how to incorporate both skills. So for example, with me, I do feel like Instagram gypped us a little bit, the photographers. So we've had to throw our photography into video format. So for example, if it's like best places in Utah, I'll do like a quick video followed by photo of my favorite places in Utah. So just learning how to incorporate both what Instagram wants plus what you want. Reels. Okay, so try creating reels that are entertaining or informative, educational, captivating imagery. Shoot vertically, as you guys know. Use texts, filters, effects to captivate your audience. Use trending audio. So for example, many of you guys may know this, but I'm actually surprised that even people that have been doing this for a while didn't know, but the little arrow here lets you know if an audio is trending. And so with trending audio, you'll more likely than not show up on the, I want to say For You page, but that's TikTok, but the trending page, the trending reel page. And so yeah, that's what I usually recommend. More people are like looking at that. And then integrating photography, I linked one of my I linked one of my photos, but I can't grab this right now. One of my reels, which I was just telling you about, like the top places in California, Utah, and I think I did Arizona, and then it was like showcasing it after. I think you guys get the idea, though. You guys have seen my reels. So working with brands, I know you guys asked me a lot about this, so that's why I want to jump into this one before we run out of time. But what if I don't have an audience to leverage? That is like another common question that I get from you guys. So in the beginning of my traveling, I didn't have a big following at all. And so I was bartering content in exchange for building my portfolio. And so I didn't have like a full-time job at the time and was just doing weekend stuff, but a lot of people do. And that's excellent because you can still be working and then, do little adventures here and there and build up as you go and get a ton of content and be able to show it to the next hotel or brand that you want to partner with. And then yeah, that's kind of like how I started, and that's how we were able to survive off of such a low amount of money for an entire year by just like bartering. And you don't want to do this too much because like obviously companies can like, you don't want to get taken advantage of, and because you are valuable, like you have to know your worth, but take it as like a learning process. And as you can see, some of the images aren't the greatest, and I've learned a lot as I went, but this is what we would essentially offer companies in exchange for letting us stay in their like beautiful hotels, and then we were able to like showcase their hotels. So it's kind of like a cool way to grow as you're going on your journey. So here's my media kit. So it's evolved over time. Now it's just a one page. And so this personally for me, if I am a PR person, I'm looking at media kits that I'm being received all day long, I just want to see everything on one page right off the bat. It's kind of like getting a resume. You don't want to get like a 5-page resume. So it shows my statistics, my demographic, previous clients I worked with, and a little bio about myself. And so this is super helpful and professional to send to a brand or a hotel that you're trying to partner up with. And I'm sure you guys are taking screenshots, which I'll give you like a second to do that. And then I'll go on to the next one. And then, so here's my little email pitch. I guess I'll read it to you, but I'm like, hey, hotel, brand, or person that I found their name somehow. My name is Brie Rose. I link my Instagram so they can go there directly. Oh, that's a link. I don't know why I wasn't able to. Okay, anyway. And I'm a travel photographer. I explain who I am in a very short and concise way. Why I love their product or their hotel or something like that, and feel like it would be perfect for my audience. And then here's my media kit. And yeah, then I just kind of go from there and hope they respond. And even for me, about like 89% of the time, I don't get a response. And that's okay. That's just a part of it. Okay, so we're here, we're at the contest. Okay, perfect timing. So now I get to give you guys like tons of time for questions after, but this is really cool. And so for the contest, I think I have all the information here, but Kat will jump on and help me if I don't have everything for you guys. But so you're going to share a reel or an in-feed post showcasing how your content has developed since you started out, and use the hashtag GetYourGuide Growth Challenge. And 3 winners will receive my presets plus a $100 Get Your Guide voucher. So yeah, that's really exciting.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Bree. That was such an amazing presentation. And
Oh,
thanks for
thank you.
also sharing the contest. We will send around more details about the contest to everyone that was in this webinar today. But personally from me, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Bree. As a super amateur photographer, I feel like I've taken away some really valuable insights. So thank you. That was super inspiring. And now we have some time for questions. So let me scroll up to the top, but feel free to add more as we go. All right, well, first, someone says, thank you for sharing all your knowledge with us. Question from Alyssa. How do you recommend starting out learning photography basics? I have gear, but I want to start stepping up my content quality and learning to edit better.
So I feel like, thank you for your question and thank you for joining. So I feel like the best way, the way that I learned was honestly just going out and trying different things. And also YouTube is my best friend. Like, honestly, like I feel like I've learned so much from people like Peter McKinnon or just other YouTube photographers. There's so many videos on photography 101, editing 101, and just jumping into it, just kind of head first and trial and error. As you can see from like my photos from before versus now, I was a total amateur too, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was just like, I saw a beautiful view and I captured it. And then I was like, okay, how can I make this more interesting? Oh, maybe I'll utilize the foreground, or, oh, okay, I'm going to go stand in that shot. Oh, maybe I'm too close. Like, is it too close where like, it's just my head, not the view? Or ask yourself, like, what makes this view so spectacular? How can I showcase this? Maybe it's your camera settings, maybe, and then taking it into like Lightroom, for example, and playing with the sliders and, trying a thing or two, watching another YouTube video and learning how to edit from scratch. I feel like, did I miss the question or did I get that right?
I think you got it. If you didn't
Okay.
get the question, ask another question. But I think that makes sense. Okay, question from Courtney. Did you ever just shoot with your phone? And if so, did you feel overwhelmed when you were starting to use a camera? How did you decide?
So I actually I don't think I've ever posted a photo on my Instagram with my phone. I think phone quality photos, phone quality has gotten so good. So, I mean, if you are an iPhone shooter, that's cool. I shoot like my reels with my phone all the time, but never like a photo. And then what was the second part? Sorry.
Just did you feel overwhelmed when starting to use a camera? And I guess how did you decide? I mean, how did you decide on your equipment?
Okay, so actually, funny story. So when I lived in New York at the time, and there is a store called B&H, and they're like worldwide known as like the camera and photography store. So I would go in there and I would like harass all the guys at the booths, and I'd be like, so I'm like trying to like start out and I want to do a little bit of this and I want to do a little bit of that. And they were like all recommending me like different cameras, and I was just trying a bunch of stuff. And then there was one guy, I think his name was Alan, and he was just like, I think what you want lightweight gear. You're posting for social media, so people won't really be able to tell like the quality difference if it's like full frame or crop sensor. So I think you should start with this. And he was the one that recommended the A6500 with me. But there's so many like amazing cameras that you can't really go wrong with. And, again, I go back to the YouTube thing, but I did a lot of like this camera versus this camera, kind of to weigh the differences and understand what would be right for me. But yeah, that's kind of like how I figured out my gear. But it wasn't overwhelming for me because I was just trying different things. There was no pressure like there is right now where it's become my job. It was just like kind of like a fun, let's go shoot these really cool places.
Awesome. Okay, from Cassandra. How might you pitch to companies when starting out with a small audience?
So I would do a similar pitch, like my own. However, I would change it to mentioning that you're trying to build your portfolio, so you're willing to offer content in exchange for a one-night stay at their hotel, or a in exchange for a jacket that, say it's like Columbia or a cool jacket company that you want to test out and be like, hey, I'll give you free content in exchange for the jacket. And that's like, I think, a really good way to get companies' attention if you don't have a big following.
Nice. Okay, the next one is a bit of a personal one, so I don't know if you're comfortable answering it, but I'll ask you. How much do you typically earn from collaborations, a good month and a bad month, and your first paid collaboration?
Okay, no, I don't mind sharing. So it differs. It is a freelance job. And so monthly, I make around 15K per month. And my first partnership, so after a year in South America and we're having no money at the end of it and just feeling like completely down on my luck, but like maintaining that determination, I was like, I'm gonna keep on going. I got my first paid gig with Burt's Bees, and they paid me $5,000, which made up my entire year of savings. And so after that had happened, I solidified the idea that, okay, I meant to do this.
Amazing. I love Burt's Bees. It's a great first collaboration.
Yeah, I was really lucky, for sure.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. It's not everyone wants to be open about it, so it's nice for everyone to hear.
People should be open.
Okay, from Tria, how do you save and store all your photos and videos and keep their quality? I seem to have external hard drives, cloud storage, Google storage, and it's so overwhelming.
Oh, me too. I do too. So I use so for like my iPhone videos and photos and stuff, I can't like get enough cloud storage. So I use a company called iDrive, and I think it's like $75 per year. And I'm pretty sure you can have like 10,000 gigabytes of space. So I put all of my phone backups on there. And I also have external hard drives. I have many, many external hard drives. Like I usually travel with with an SSD, which I can show you guys what that looks like, which is this tiny little guy. These are very expensive, but they're worth it because you're not going to lose content if this little thing gets bumped, because there's no little spinny disc on the inside. However, I have one plugged in, so I have to be super careful. However, I have like these guys, which are a lot cheaper, but they have so much content on them that I just kind of keep on my desk, and I kind of can reconnect and like find my old files. But there's no easy like answer. It is very overwhelming for me as well. You just have to try your best. I'm sorry, I can't like offer like a oh, here's the trick to like make it easier. We just need like to have tons of free space for us. That's just what we need.
I mean, it's a good workout. That's glass half full way to look at it when you're carrying all that gear around. Okay. What are your favorite strategies for getting tourism boards to work with you? Do you have to work with tourism boards?
Yeah, of course. So I usually, and I mean, you could probably hear different opinions from different people, but I will DM the tourism board Instagram account. And usually that's, I feel like now everybody's gonna like flood these accounts. They're gonna be like, oh, Bree, she told me, they're gonna be like, Bree. But that's kind of like, I feel like how I have approached many brands in the past, and my colleagues, I guess you can call them, have done the exact same. And so yeah, I just go in there and I'm like, hey, I'm Bree, I would love to partner with you guys. Is there a specific email that I can reach out to? And they usually send me their marketing person, and that's how I get the emails.
Yep, DMs work. There's always a social media team behind the DMs. Okay. Do you usually set up your tripod and take your own photos, or use other people to take your photos?
So it's both. So it's a lot easier when you have friends with you. And so generally these days I'll usually have either an assistant with me or just one of my photography friends. But during my so back in last July, I bought a one-way ticket to the Dolomites, and I converted my car. It was a rental car. I converted it into a camper, and it was just me and my tripod, my car, and my bed. And I was just going around and just like shooting myself. So it just depends. It's like half and half.
I think this is a great question from Julia. How do you feel about sharing places that are special to you? I feel like in Austria, people want to protect these special places, so I don't feel quite well sharing locations. Do you have any tips?
Oh yes, Julia, good question. This is like the yin and yang for like all creators on social media, because you want to do your best in making everybody happy, but nobody's ever going to be like, there's always somebody that's going to be unhappy with what you do. So I've tried out, and there's been like periods of time where a lot of creators were called like gatekeepers. And so we would get a lot of harassment, like some really nasty harassment about not sharing a location. Me as a photographer, I am showcasing the world. And so in my opinion, I'm not showcasing like, this is how you get to this in this location. You have to take a 4x4 vehicle here. I'm not a guide. So for me, I don't usually post it, because then I have the other people on the other side who are just like, you're like, you are allowing too many people to approach this place and there's damages because of it. So it's really, really stressful. So for me, I kind of just avoid it all. And like, if people DM me about locations, I'm happy to share. But other times I'm literally just talking about my journey and just showcasing my photography. But then you'll have like some of my friends who are total guides, and so they'll tell you specifically where places are, and then you'll have people who just won't. So there's no like, and I understand exactly how you feel, because I'm more on the in line with I see how social media has damaged a lot of locations, so I prefer not to share. And also a lot of locations are pretty easy to find if you just like Google them and like description. So I'm just like, you guys just want it a little bit easy. Let me just, yeah, keep stuff to my photography and that sort of thing. But yeah, sorry, there's no like this or that answer.
It's a tough one to navigate, but I think it makes sense that if you choose your niche of being like a real tour guide, then of course you have to share those locations, right?
Right.
Makes sense. Okay, so this one says, no questions, just wanted to say that your story is so inspiring, and it's also great to see that the person behind such a famous account is still so kind and down to earth. I agree.
That means so much. The other day I met someone, they were just like, why are you so normal? And I was like, wait, like, I just happen to have people following me, but I'm Bree. Like, I'm just me over here trying to do my best.
Go to your head, and it hasn't. So we love working with Bree.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just skipping ones that we've kind of answered already. So thank you so much. Do you schedule your work on social media? If yes, any advice on that?
Oh, I would love to have a schedule. So I usually try to post at 10 a.m. between 10 and 11. Usually it happens to be posting at 11 because I'm like backed up and I'm like, oh, I see something, I have to go back and like re-edit it. So I try my best to have that time. I remember back in the day, I used to do Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday posting. And these days I run my company now full time by myself, and there's a lot of moving parts and I have a lot of businesses. So it's really difficult. So now Instagram will get a post like when I can post. And so for scheduling though, if you can do that, I feel like it really, really helps you stay organized and manage a lot of things. Trying to maybe like not backlog, that's not the right word for it, but like create batch content, like batch create. And yeah, if you can like manage to do that. But like some of my photos or my videos, it'll take me either like half a day or it'll be like midnight and I've only done like one edit and I'm like, I can't do another one, I can't batch anything, it just never works for me. But if you could figure out how to do that, it'd probably be a lot easier.
Nice. Okay, last one here from Jackie. Is there a consistency that you keep weekly on social media? Actually, you kind of just answered that. Whenever you can.
Yeah. Yeah, so in the beginning, yes, I was extremely consistent, constantly on Instagram, constantly engaging with people so they would see my account, they would start recognizing me, which I think is really helpful when starting out, for sure. I think it's super, super important. Now, my brand is pretty solidified. And so I have a little bit more leeway with things. But if you can maintain a consistency, that's super valuable, I think.
Yeah, amazing. Another question on tourist boards. Tourist boards are always a big question in the community. Do you feel like they have, I'm just going to summarize, do you feel like they have a benchmark of when they'll take you seriously? And is it worth trying it out when you have 1K followers?
That's a hard one. So I think always shoot your shot. Always try. Be prepared for a no and don't take it personally at all, because it's never personal. But I think you can shoot your shot and again offer them, hey, I'm gonna, for example, you could be like, hey, I'm gonna go to all these beautiful places and showcase this to my audience. I am trying to build my portfolio. I have a skill set in photography, or maybe my website gets like my blog gets a big following. I would love to offer you affiliate links, or I would love to offer you photography for your marketing usage for free, if you can maybe give me this activity for free, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great advice to always shoot your shot. You got nothing to lose, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. And how important are hashtags to grow your audience?
Oh man. So I remember when hashtags weren't a thing at all. Then I remember when they were a thing, and now they're like back to not mattering, apparently. So I still use them. I haven't really noticed a difference from when I use a lot more to using just like 5. But I don't really know how Instagram, people that aren't following you would find you if they're not searching for a specific hashtag you used. I don't really know how that works, but I would say continue to use them. I feel like a good rule of thumb is using just specific to the location hashtags, and yeah, just kind of see what your favorite creators are using. And I feel like that will kind of keep you in line and up to date with what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. And I would say from a brand perspective that a lot of brands look for topics via hashtags when they're looking for specific creators for a campaign. So if you're tagging your niche, we can look for that via various tools and find you that way as well. So I think it's no harm in adding them. I have one last question for you before we wrap up right on time. Do you remember the moment where you realized this is actually my career now?
So, it's so weird. Like, I still sometimes think, like, I'll just be like wandering my apartment and I'm just like, wait, do I have a job? I'm like, oh yeah, I do. Like, I do this full time. So like, it's kind of still really weird for me to be like, oh, this is an actual job. I feel like because it is still a very new job, social media in general, it's like, oh, a brand is paying me to like wear their product somewhere really cool. Like, what? And I feel like maybe because it is freelance, so it's not very consistent. So I could have a job this month, and then I can have like 3 jobs next month, and then the next month I have nothing. So maybe that's why it sometimes feels like it's still very unreal. But sometimes I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing this, cool. Like, I worked hard for this. Let's go. You guys can do it too.
Absolutely. I've worked hard for it. All right. Amazing. We got through all the questions. It was an incredible presentation. Thank you so much, Bree.
Thank you, guys.
As I said, we'll send you around the details of the contest. What we really want to see is, as Bree talked about in her presentation, like think about how you've grown and like show us that in a reel, how your content has developed over time. And as we said, we'll choose 3 winners. You're going to get Bree's amazing presets, which she showed you, and a Get Your Guide voucher to use towards your next unforgettable experience with us. So thank you everyone for joining. It was a really good turnout, as we expected.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you joining in.
And have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, wherever you are from today. Thanks so much. Bye.